طيب، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم، وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم، وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم، واجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. Uh, Last time we talked about the actions of the human beings, أفعال العباد. And we said that the man has no effect in his actions, and the doer on the actual and reality is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that led us to another question. If we are not the doer of our actions, are we having a free will, or we are just a feather in a wind, moving with the movement of the wind? In Arabic, they say ريشة في مهب الريح. Do we create our actions? Do we have a free will, or we just haven't a free will? And we said that reality on a real, no, we don't have a real free will. We have a feeling of a free will, but this is not a free will according to Ahl Sunnah al-Asha'ira. Do you hear the outside noise?
No.
لا لا ما
And this is the sayings of Ahl Sunnah. So Ahl Sunnah says, okay, there's no real effect for the things. Like, you think you move this pen from here to here, but actually it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doing this. Okay. Now, if you said that any action, in order to happen, we need two things: a power and um uh and free will, or takhsis, okay, we say yes, that's correct, but it's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the only thing that the human being acquire, it's called al-kasb. Al-kasb. What is al-kasb? Al-kasb is that we have ability, according to al-Imam al-Sanusi, and according to al-Imam al-Dardiri and Hashiyat al-Imam al-Sawi also, according to them, they say that we have a power, we have qudra, but this power actually has no effect. This power is emergent, and the only power that we need in order to the action pop up to the existence is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala power, which is this power is beginningless, and the power of ourselves is emergent, and this is the power, the power and the relation of this power to the action, which is no effect in this relation. This is called kasb. Okay. But this talk is at this level. So the debate not ended for now. It ended for now, but later we have another debate. But the debate now, we will talk about the other sayings of the other madhab, the philosophism and Mu'tazilism. What did they say about the actions? Okay. So الإمام الدردير he says ومن يقل بالطبع أو بالعلة فذاك كفر عند أهل الملة. That's the title of today's lesson. So what's the sayings of al-falasifa? What's the saying of the philosophy? Let me just join from here just to share screen. Just 1 second. Okay. طيب. Let's open here. طيب. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the philosophers' sayings. The philosophers says the things affected according to its nature. So if we had here a fire, for example, okay, we can draw it like this. Imagine that this is a fire. So, and we have here a wood. So, in order this to burn, here we need an action. This action came from this because of its nature. Nature in Arabic means al-tab'. Nature or essence or yeah, or yeah, the essence. So this is the philosophers says. So they says the effect of the things according to its nature. The effects of the things according to its nature. So we have two things. Something it's called nature and something it's called al-illah. Al-illah in English, what does it mean al-illah, ya Liam, in English? Cause? I don't think it's cause.
I think cause is what I've heard before.
Look, it's not only cause, because cause in Ahl Sunnah, yes, we talk about causes. There is asbab and there is ilal. The concept of illah is different from sabab. So let me explain what does it mean. We explained what does it mean nature, right? We said that if we have a fire, so this fire, in order to burn a wood, it's just touch it and that's it. And the nature, in the nature here, there is conditions. These conditions, first is this fire touch the wood. The second, the wood is not wet with water, not wet. So if you have conditions, so that's nature. That's called al-tab'. But once the fire touched the wood, and once the wood is not wet, the burn effect starts. Now the question here, for any reason, is it possible for this effect not happening? According to madhab Ahl Sunnah, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of this burn, not the fire. The philosopher says, no, it's impossible. The God himself cannot stop this process from happening. If there is a fire, and if there is a wood, and if the fire touches the wood, and if the wood is not wet, the burn is inevitably happens. This is a tab', this is the nature. Okay. Ahl Sunnah, they says, no, actually what we see is what the philosophers explains. Yes, it has to be fire, and it has to be wood, and there is a touch and not wet, and then the burn happens. But this process it's possible not to happen. It's not something necessary for the essence of the fire or the essence of the wood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can stop this process from happening. Okay? And this reason, according to Ahl Sunnah, it's not by the nature of the fire or the nature of the wood. No. This is according to philosophers. This process it's called normal relation. According to philosophers, it's a nature relation. And what's by the virtue of the nature, the virtue of what it is, it's impossible not to happen. But according to the normal thing, normal, it's like can be happen and it cannot happen. So it's possible to exist and it's possible not to exist. This is the nature. The cause, I don't like to name it as cause, actually. I want to write it in Arabic, and then we're going to find the idiom here, because I forgot what illa means. So this is the nature. Now we're going to talk about al-illa. Al-illa, the best example for it is the universe. Okay, so this is the universe, or not the universe. Let's write the existence. Here we have existence, and this existence, in order to happen, there's a reason for it, right? Because this is we said it's possible. It's mumkin, and according to philosophers, it's not emergent, it's not hadith, it's beginningless. It has no begin, this existence. it's beginningless, so it's possible, and they say the idiom is contingent. I think like this, contingent. And any contingent needs an absolute, a necessary being. So this necessary being is al-illah, for the existence of this, for existing this existence. Okay. Now this says al-illah, this is called al-illah, and this is called al-ma'lul. And al-ma'lul, this thing has to, it has to be in a parallel, in a parallel, in a time with the illah itself. So if this illah has no begin, so this also has no begin. But this one depends on this one. Okay. This is the thing here. So what's the difference between the illah and the nature? The nature has conditions, but illah has no conditions. So it's not actually a big difference, right? So this is what they say. They says the actions we see, or the emergence, no, let's say the actions. The actions we notice in the existence is according to either nature, the nature of the things, or al-illah. For example, al-illah brought to us al-uqul, and we're going to talk about it later, not in this book. Something not materialistic that has effect to bring us this universe. And the nature, so the elements, so these elements has some kind of nature, and this nature is always behave on a certain pattern, and this is called its nature. And the relation between al-illah and ma'lul and the nature to the other things, it's necessary. It's impossible to has an error or not happening or something like this. Okay. طيب. آه. Here الإمام الدردير in العلة, I gave an example of existence and the necessary being. He gave another example, which is the ring and the finger. Whenever you wear a ring, whenever you move your um, finger, the ring moves. It's like coincidence, like together in a parallel. So whenever the illah happens, whenever the illah exists, the ma'lul also exists. Okay. طيب. What else? Now, what's al-hukm? We're not going to debate them in this book and to show that they are wrong. No, we're going to say al-hukm. Al-hukm, it's al-kufr. This sayings is kufr. Okay. Why it's kufr? Because it's some kind of shirk. Because you say, not in a clear way, but in another way, that Allah is not one, not the only one that creates, not the only one that creates, but actually there is illah, an essence or a being that is illah, and this being is creating ma'lul. And we have elements that has a nature, and by its nature, it's creating ma'lul. And we say, according to Sunnah, La khaliqa illa Allah. There is no creator but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So anyone says that there is someone or something or a being or anything that creates something, so that's shirk. And a shirk is kufr. And also the one that says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot affect to this process. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no power to make fire. Bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. For example, in the story of Sayyidina Ibrahim, when the disbelievers threw Sayyidina Ibrahim in the fire, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the fire to be bardan wa salaman, to be cool, not burning. So that's actually impossible according to philosophers. So that means two things. That means the Quran is saying lies, astaghfirullah. The second thing is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no power. He um disable disa disable to stop this process. And this is kufr also. Is there any distinction? Okay, Liam, open a mic and ask the question.
Okay. The question was with things that are considered as kufr or shirk for the hukm upon them, is there a distinction made between something that is like they've come to that it would be classed as kufr daruri? So someone saying la ilah, for example, um, or someone saying something that I guess you have to prove through another to decide that it's kufr. For example, if someone says about istiwa and a certain meaning that if you look at the lawazim of it, it means that it's kufr, but for the person saying it, they maybe don't realize that it's kufr when they say it. Is there a distinction made between these?
Uh, yes, there is a distinction. But actually, the Ahl Sunnah, they didn't make any distinction according to the philosophers. They said, look, they said, وَمَنْ يَقُلْ بِالطَّبْعِ أَوْ بِالْعِلَّةِ فَذَاكَ كُفْرٌ immediately. However, the sayings of Mu'tazila, it's not, they say the man creates his actions and there is being created, but they not kuffar, they mubtadi'ah. We are going to know why they made falasifa kuffar and why they didn't made Mu'tazila as kuffar. They made it only mubtadi'ah, innovators. Why is that? Why is that? Because al-Mu'tazila, now we're going to talk about Mu'tazila, but let me tell you this in advance. Look, the philosophers, they said, okay, immediately, there's no wasita, there is no, look, the nature, because it's like this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't make the nature, by the way. They says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't make things as it is, according to something it's called maj'uliyat al-mahiyya. They says al-mahiyya maj'ula, like the essence, it's like this. And there is a sayings of Ibn Sina. He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lam yaj'al al-mishmisha mishmishan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't make the apple is the apple. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the apple exist, not the apple is the apple. So this is the reason why they said, okay, that's kufr. However, Mu'tazila, they says, no. The things has a power, and this power is made from Allah, not by itself. That's why they innovators, but eventually they brought all the things that has a relation and has a fiction. They said all of these things come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the reason of everything according to them. Maybe there are something in between, but these powers that in between, eventually they get back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala power. So that's why we say Mu'tazila mubtadi'ah, falasifa is kuffar. So now we're going to talk about Mu'tazila. Al-Mu'tazila, they say that we have a power القوة المدعاة. What does it mean مدعاة? اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. Yeah. So والله what? Okay, anyways, they say that there is a power, and this power is in the human being. And this power in the human being is emergent. And any emergent thing needs a creator. None. None. So it's power placed inside humans. So this power placed inside human is emergent. Okay. And any emergent things needs a creator. So who created this power is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, we said that the action, any action, needs one power. Needs one power in order to happen. So we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a power and the human being also has a power. So this power, look, you have to know something. We say that we have a power. When I say we, I mean Ahl Sunnah. We say that yes, inside a human being there is a power, and this power is emergent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this power. And now let's start to test the sayings. This action needs only one power. So either this power is the power of the humans of the or the power of Allah. Mu'tazila, they say this is the power of the human being. And it has effect. Now, this is the difference between our sayings and their sayings. We say that the power has no effect. The effect is for the power of Allah. They says, now, no, the power inside us has the effect. This is the sayings of Mu'tazila. So the fire is not affecting by its nature. It has something inside it, and this thing made the fire to burn. So the burn is, yes, from this fire itself. Because of what? Because of the power placed inside it. But this power placed inside it is not by its nature. It came from Allah. Yes, this has the effect of burning, not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to their sayings. So the power placed inside the fire is burning the woods. So that's also the placed power inside the fire. And this power that placed inside the power, it's emergent and it's Allah's creation. So eventually, this power come back to Allah. Come back to Allah. Unlike the philosophers, they says no, it doesn't come back to anything by it's according to its nature, the nature of the element or the nature of the fire, by virtue of the fire is a fire, so it gives burning. And no one can change this essence of the fire. Okay. Now, what is the rule of this saying? This is called bid'ah. And bid'ah is against sunnah. So when we say sunnah, that means we have ancestors, salaf, said against these sayings. Okay. Now, the thing is, bunch of different Sunni scholars said the sayings of Mu'tazila. Bunch of different of them. Um, so who said this? Here in Sharh, and also I mentioned this in the past class, this sayings, they said that Al-Imam al-Ghazali said the same thing of Al-Quwa al-Muda'a. And Al-Imam al-Subki, Al-Imam al-Suyuti also. Al-Imam al-Suyuti is from the same place I live here, Asyut in Egypt. So how do you say that this sayings is bid'ah or anything? Okay. So according to this, Al-Imam here, he he said, okay, if you are think if you think that they say the philosophers, no, they says this saying, and this saying eventually comes back to Allah. So eventually they says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of the things. But even if they said the sayings of Mu'tazila, it's okay to يعني it's okay to make mistakes according to your ijtihad, but eventually the sayings that al-qawl al-mu'tamad and the final saying is the sunnah sayings. Okay. So yeah, and um, the matter of al-kasb is one of the hardest thing to understand in ilm al-kalam. They give a reason. They give three examples for the difficulties of ilm al-kalam. They say كسب الأشعري وطفرة النظام وأحوال Abu Hashim. We're going to know these things inshallah later, but now we know what is al-kasb and what's the sayings of Ahl Sunnah. The sayings of Ahl Sunnah is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the real creator of everything immediately without something in between like a power or something. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator immediately. This is the sayings of Ahl Sunnah. And the human being, the al-insan, the human, is only acquire this actions, which is يكسب أفعاله. And the philosophers, they says no, things has effect, a real effect according to its nature, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has nothing to do with this. However, Mu'tazila, they says, yes, the things affecting by the power placed inside it. However, this power placed inside it, it's emergent, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that gives this thing the validity to act, the validity to affect. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can take this validity, take this power from them, from these things, and to has no effect. Okay. We didn't say any proof for Ahl Sunnah or Mu'tazila or Falasifa. We didn't say the arguments. The arguments is in the next level, inshallah, or the after. The debates will be bigger and bigger and bigger, inshallah. But in this level, what we should know is to know the sayings of each group. Okay. Now let's go and read this from the book. I'm going to stop share screen and Liam will read the. Okay.
I think it's from here, صح? Opposing views.
Yes, exactly. We didn't read from here. Yes, start.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على النبي الكريم. Opposing views on causality. The belief that Allah is the only creator is contrasted by three other worldviews on causality: belief in the necessitation of causes, belief in the necessitation of natures, and belief in the delegation of creative power. The first two beliefs are held by a group known as the philosophers. They are the Aristotelians who believe that effects necessarily exist if their effector does. For example, belief that fire will necessarily burn wood if it comes into contact with it, and that it is rationally impossible for it to not burn wood. In this case, the fire is said to be the necessitating cause for the burning of the wood. Necessitating natures qualifies the belief in necessitating causes further by positing that it takes more than just the existence of a cause in order for the effect to exist. Rather, all preventers that would otherwise inhibit the ability of the cause to affect must also not exist, such that if the cause existed and all preventers did not exist, then the effect will necessarily exist. For example, belief that fire will necessarily burn wood if the flame connects with the wood when the wood lacks wetness. In this case, the existence of the fire and the non-existence of wetness necessitates the existence of the wood's burning. Proclaiming belief in necessitating natures or causes is disbelief according to the people of this religion. In other words, the one who believes in the necessitation of causes or the necessitation of natures is a disbeliever. This is for two reasons. First, because it entails that Allah be unable to change the behavior of the world. For example, if fire necessarily caused burning, then it would be impossible for Allah to make fire not burn. And this goes against an explicit Quranic passage which informs us of Allah's preventing the fire from burning Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam in the Anbiya. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قلنا يا نار كوني بردا وسلاما على إبراهيم. We said, O fire, be cool and safe for Ibrahim. Second, because this entails it to be rationally impossible for the world to not exist. After all, the philosophers believe that Allah Himself is a necessitating cause for the existence of the world. So long as He exists, the world will exist as well. And since it is impossible for Allah to not exist, then it is impossible for the world to not exist. This is disbelief because it would mean that Allah is unable to choose to not create the world. Such a theology reduces Him to a mechanistic source, which the world involuntarily flows out of. Exalted is He above what the ignorant ascribe to Him. Belief in necessitating causes or natures is false, because if it were true, then the world would have been beginningless. And we have already shown that the world is not beginningless. Furthermore, consistently observing wood burn upon contact with fire, for example, is not proof that it is rationally impossible for fire to not burn wood. It is only proof that this is what normally happens when the flame connects with wood, and this unjustifiable belief that observing a correlation consistently entails that this correlation be rationally necessary is the fundamental assumption that the worldview of the philosophers is built upon. The last worldview of causality that is contrary to oneness of action is belief in the delegation of creative power. This is what an Islamic sect known as the Mu'tazila maintained. It is belief in Allah's choosing to grant some of His creatures the ability to create certain things. For example, belief that fire creates the burning of the wood because Allah granted it the power to burn. Whoever believes in the delegation of creative power is an innovator. In other words, the one who believes in the delegation of creative power is blameworthy, but his mistake is not severe enough to take him out of the fold of Islam. Belief in the delegation of creative power is false, given Burhan al-Tamani'. Also given the many scriptural passages which inform us of Allah's being the only creator. Passages like in Az-Zumar, Allah خالق كل شيء.
Allahu khaliqu kulli shay.
الله خالق كل شيء. Allah is the creator of everything. And if there was some other being that creates things, then Allah wouldn't be the creator of everything. And I think this is the end of the section.
No, خلاص. So this is for today. Inshallah, next time we're going to start explaining the overall this is the end of the negating attributes, or the negative attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we mentioned them and we proved them. Next time, inshallah, we are explaining the overall argument of these attributes one more time, just very quickly. And yeah, that's for today and for the next time, inshallah ta'ala. I want to say, is there any questions? But I think I'm very sleepy. So let's